Following the successful release of the Metas BlackBay Red last year, Tudor finally decided to bring out a more versatile black version in Watches of Wonders 2024. I was lucky enough to get my hands on the Jubilee version of this new Metas BlackBay, so let me run you through a quick overview of this release, and I will be comparing this new Metas BlackBay with the previous BlackBay as well as the Rolex Submariner. Let's start with the specifications. This new Metas BlackBay comes with a case diameter of 41mm. It has a thickness of 13.6mm, and the watch has a water-resistant level of 200 meters. Hidden within the case is the MT5602U movement, and it has a power reserve of roughly 70 hours. These specifications are pretty much identical to the red Metas BlackBay that Tudor released last year, and similarly to the red version, this black edition also comes with 3 bracelet configurations. This Jubilee option retails for £3,910, and the Oyster bracelet option retails for £3,820, and there is also a rubber strap option that retails for £3,630. You may ask, how is this new Metas BlackBay different to the old version? So let's start with the similarities. Both the new and the old BlackBay comes in a 41mm case. They have the same water-resistant level of 200 meters, and they have the same power reserve of roughly 70 hours. What is different though is the movement inside. The new BlackBay has a Metas certified movement, which has an accuracy of up to 0 to plus 5 seconds a day, whereas the previous generation is only cost certified, and it has an accuracy of -4 to plus 6 seconds per day. This means that the new Metas BlackBay is much more accurate than the previous model. There is also a huge difference in its thickness. The new Metas BlackBay is 13.6mm thick, whereas the previous generation is 14.8mm thick. Whilst it doesn't sound like a lot on paper, it does make a huge difference when you have both watches on your wrist. Another upgrade the new BlackBay has over the previous model is the quick adjustment system. The new Metas BlackBay comes with the T-Fit system, meaning that wearers can adjust the bracelet size on the fly without the use of any tool. On the other hand, the previous model only has 3 holes for micro adjustment, and even then, it requires a tool or a toothpick if you like to resize, which makes the previous model not as practical. Aside from these technical upgrades, Tudor also makes some changes to how the new Metas BlackBay looks compared to the previous generation. First, the new model only has 2 lines of text, whereas the older model has 3 lines. This gives the new model a much cleaner look on the dial. The other change you might have noticed is the new second hand. The new model uses a circular lollipop second hand, whereas the previous model uses a snowflake second hand. There is also another subtle difference on the dial. The new Metas BlackBay has a ever so slightly sunray finish, which is kind of similar to the BlackBay 54, whereas the dial of the previous BlackBay has a completely matte finish. The crown is also slightly different. The new model no longer has the crown tube, and the teeth is more pronounced, making it much easier to grip. Now, let me show you how the new Metas BlackBay looks compared to the Rolex Submariner. The Submariner date I have here is the 41mm version, which is different to the 40mm maxi case version. Both the Rolex Submariner and the Tudor BlackBay comes in a 41mm case, but I think the Tudor BlackBay looks a bit smaller visually. This is due to a few reasons. First, the BlackBay has thinner lugs compared to the Submariner. This gives the Tudor a smaller case profile in comparison. The second reason is likely due to the slightly bigger bezel size of the Rolex Submariner. Although I didn't have the equipment to measure the exact bezel width of the 2 pieces, the Tudor BlackBay bezel does look a bit thinner to my eyes. Even though both the BlackBay and the Submariner have a 41mm case, the thickness is slightly different. You will notice the mid-case of the Submariner is thinner than the BlackBay, which makes the Submariner looks a bit thinner visually. In terms of quick adjustment system, the Rolex has the glide lock, whereas the Tudor has the T-Fit. This means both bracelets can be adjusted on the fly without the use of any tool, which is great. Whilst the new BlackBay looks very similar to the Rolex Submariner, there are still some differences. First, the bezel material is different. The Submariner uses a ceramic bezel insert which gives a very shiny and reflective look. The Metas BlackBay on the other hand uses a aluminium bezel, which has an understated look with a matte finish. In terms of bezel functionality, the Submariner has a more precise 120-click bezel, whereas the Tudor BlackBay only comes with a 60-click bezel. As I don't dive with my watches, the more premium functionality that the Rolex offers doesn't really make any difference to me. Now let's move on to the dial. The Submariner has a glossy finish, whereas the BlackBay has a matte finish. The BlackBay dial actually has a slight sunray finish, which is similar to what you can find on the BlackBay 54. Speaking of the 54, I think this new Metas BlackBay actually looks very similar to the BlackBay 54. Both watches come with a black and white color scheme bezel, and the dial and the bezel finish is quite similar. So if you like the BlackBay 54 but think it is too small or dislike the gilt accent on the hands and the markers, then I think this new Metas BlackBay might just be right for you. Another difference is the sapphire crystal. The Rolex Submariner has a flat crystal, whereas the BlackBay has a dome crystal. To me, this new Metas BlackBay is a much better improvement of the older generation. I love the new movement, which is much more accurate, but more importantly, I love the thinner profile of the new BlackBay. So if you were to ask me, I would 100% choose the new Metas BlackBay over the previous model. But how does it compare to the Rolex Submariner? This new black version of the Metas BlackBay makes the buying decision much harder for those who are considering between a Submariner and a BlackBay. Now that the new BlackBay is much thinner, it makes the wearing experience of the Submariner and the BlackBay a lot closer. Both watches have a quick adjustment system, where Rolex has the glide lock and the Tudor has the T-fit. But the Tudor BlackBay has more bracelet options for you to choose from, and I particularly like this 5-links bracelet, as it just wraps around the wrist better, and therefore make it much more comfortable than the oyster bracelet that the Submariner comes with. Purely from a value perspective, I would pick this Tudor BlackBay over the Rolex Submariner, but if you want a Rolex, this Tudor is not going to be a replacement, as it does not have a crown on the dial, no matter how similar it looks. And you may end up spending the money to buy the Rolex at the end of the day, as the Tudor is not a substitute to the dream watch that you always wanted, which would probably cost you more money in the long run, and not to mention the fact that you could have the Rolex earlier had you not spent your money on the Tudor. And this may well be your first costly mistake that you will make in your watch collecting journey. Now, go check out this video to learn the 9 costly mistakes to avoid in your watch collecting journey, or click here to find out how I got a Rolex Submariner from my AD with just a 1-day wait. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on my future videos. Cheers!